Okay, so we are ready to move on to the next step in our sculpture, and today we are going to be making a few cuts to help put the pieces of our head together. So here is the example that I've started for you. You can see that it's put together, and I'm going to take it apart and I'm going to show you how this works. So here we go. I've just pulled this out, and this was the original sculpture I made. So these faces are a little bit different. I have my face that's looking forward and my face in profile, okay? So as we're working on this today, let's go over the materials you're gonna need. Obviously, you are going to need your face in profile and your face looking forward, so the two pieces that you've made so far. You are going to need a pair of scissors, potentially a pencil, and maybe a ruler, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're gonna take a look at the original set that I made, okay? So, excuse me, if we look at this one, you'll notice that there is a cut right down that center line, okay? And clearly it doesn't come the whole way to the bottom, because if I did that, this would fall apart into two pieces. So we are gonna start with our first cut being on the forward-looking face. So here's the one I've been working on with you guys. And what I'm going to do is take my profile piece and I'm going to line up these center lines. So you should still have this line that is left from when we divided your visual journal page up. And I'm just going to kind of set these on top of each other. And the next thing I'm going to think about as I'm lining these up and preparing to make my cut is, where do I want the pieces to match up once they slide in together? So I want my piece for the head to be right around here, okay? So that when it's on its side, it's at an appropriate height, so that it'll work well together with the hat and the top of the head here. Okay, so now that I know that, I'm gonna make a little mark down here, right in this little bit where they're overlapping, so that I know I'm definitely not gonna cut any further than this. So I've made a mark and I'm using my pencil to mark that on the forward-looking face. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut on that center line. If you accidentally erased that, what you can do is take a visual journal page, measure it out just like we did before. So that you can use this as a guide. So you would measure it 2.5 at the top, 2.5 at the bottom, and you would just put a guideline there. And then what you would do is put this back kind of in the center of it, so that then what you can do is take your ruler, and I've zoomed in really close, so let me zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole page. You can take this, and with those marks that you just put on your paper, you are going to put this approximately in the center. Then you can use your ruler to draw that line back in case you erased it, okay? All right, so now what we're going to do is we are gonna take our scissors. We're gonna be very thoughtful. Remember, we are gonna stop when we hit this mark. We are not going to cut the whole way through, okay? So we're gonna turn this, and we're just gonna slowly and carefully cut along that line until we hit the guide mark. And I may stop just a little bit before that, because I can always go in and cut more if I need to. So again, it's been cut right down the center. I stopped a little bit before I hit my guide mark. I did not cut the whole way through. Okay, so this one's been cut. So let's take a look at the example that's done again. So I cut the whole way down to my guide mark, and the idea is that we slide these together like this. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna be cutting our next cut in our profile piece. And in our profile piece, it starts from the bottom of the face and works its way up, okay, which is different from what we just did. So again, what I'm doing is I'm laying my profile piece on top of my forward-looking face, and I'm lining that up again approximately to where I want this to be as far as height goes and in alignment with the forward-looking face. And now what I'm looking at is I really don't want this to go, I don't want to cut too far. I want to make my cut probably about to the cheek, okay? So again, you should have that guideline that you worked on originally, and you shouldn't have erased. So flip it over, figure out which side you have it on. And again, if that is missing, you can take your visual journal that you just put those marks on. It's very bright. Let me see if I can turn this down so we can see it better. Ooh, that's too dark. Okay, so we can take this piece and you should have that corner edge that lines perfectly up there, and then you should be able to put it there and use that guide mark that you just put in your visual journal to put that line back in, okay? All right, so again, I've got my forward-looking piece. I'm lining this up on top of it, and I know that I'm gonna cut to about the cheek, and then I can cut further if I need to. So we always do less is more to begin. We can always cut further. So I'm just gonna use my scissors and cut on that line to about the cheek, okay? So then what you're gonna do is once you have those two pieces cut, is you're going to take these and slide them together. Now, what you're going to do is kind of check your cuts once you've slid them together and see, are you happy with the alignment? Do you need to cut a little bit further on this face to get it where you want it to be? Okay, so right now, I'm pretty happy with this. I could go potentially a little bit further down if I think that would look better, just to get the chins to line up more if I wanted to, but I think I'm pretty happy with it. Let me turn the light back up on this. Okay. All right, so let's take a look and see where they're lining up. So this is what it looks like forward facing now, and then as we would turn it. Okay, and I actually like how this is lining up. I like how the line of the hair and the hat are coming together in this piece. So I'm gonna leave those cuts where they were. Okay, now eventually we will be putting this on the stand we made. We're not gonna do that yet. The next step that we're going to do is we're going to paint these pieces, okay? So for now, this is what it looks like when it's just laying flat. I can take these apart and I'm gonna start painting these, which I'll go over in the next video.